What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Midweek Burn this week. Gosh, here we go. Oh, man. So today we've got my friend Nick Paro joining us. And Nick, we just should get right into it with the Iran stuff. One of the first things I thought about when this all kicked off over the weekend was like the intelligence aspect of it and where this regime administration was getting their intelligence on what led to the strike and everything. And I thought about you and some of the intelligence work that you've done and everything. So can you tell everybody just before we get started a little bit about your background with doing intelligence in the army?
Yeah. So hey everyone, for if you don't know me, I'm Nick Paro. I creator at Sick of the Shit Publications, Banner and Backbone. I'm an Army vet. I was trained in human intelligence collection. I went to Afghanistan in 2014. Yeah, 2014. Years ago now. I went to Afghanistan, and I was trained to do interrogation work. I've done like local on-base access interviews. I've was trained and certified to do the lie detector thing. I've done like biometric scanning and uh, detained person onboarding or like original biometric scanning in country and things like that. Um, and so I have a little bit of experience and I have some training around it, and I've been around the field. Um, and so I've been out of it long enough to know that I don't know exactly what they would be doing now on some of the
Mhm.
tooling. That being said, I have a pretty good idea of what I think they would be doing. Um, and a lot of it has to do with source creation. Is they created sources inside Iran. When I say they, I specifically mean Israel probably created sources inside Iran, embedded
Mhm.
them in at IRGC levels and high levels and key positions. We've seen them do it before. It's how they did their last attack in Iran, with the pager detonations and Lebanon and things like that. Like, they are pretty good at intelligence collection and identifying where individuals are, and the systems that they use tend to be brought to you by Palantir, which is an American owned company by Peter Thiel,
Mhm.
who is part of the Epstein network of billionaires in the Epstein class. And he owns a lot of data and does data aggregation and data compilation in his company. Palantir rebranded itself from a military industrial complex company to an AI company. If
Mhm.
that tells you anything you need to know about what they're doing. Um, and yeah, they built a system of intelligence gathering network, and Iran is basically a Chinese owned surveillance state. In many ways, they have contracts with Chinese companies who have built out their surveillance system and built out, they're an Orwellian state
Yeah.
in so many capacities. So um, they're prepared for things like this. However, we struck. Um, and I will say this: do I care that the Ayatollah or the supreme leader of Iran is dead? Not really. Like,
No.
don't really care. He wasn't a good person. Like, he wasn't a good person
No.
and wasn't the correct way to do it. Like, two things can be true at once.
Yeah, no, not at all. And we haven't really seen even a plan, much less an end game for what they want to see. Is do you think the end game's like regime change? And if it is, what are the mechanisms that we could even put in place right now to where Trump and them would have a say in who ends up at the top? You know what I mean?
um, yes, the stated intent from Trump is pretty blatant, that it is regime change that he's seeking, or that the administration is seeking, although members of the administration and those around in like congressional seats and stuff have been sort of walking that back a little bit, saying that they're not in for regime change. They just want to kill the regime. Well, that is regime change. By
Yeah.
definition, killing the regime is regime change. So
Who was it? Like
they,
Mark Wayne Mullen was saying stuff like
yeah, what a
that. Yeah.
fucking idiot. Not sorry, Oklahoma. You have a really dumb senator.
Not
He's
surprising.
really dumb. He's not an intelligent human being, and I don't say that derogatorily. He's just not very intelligent. He's been hit in the head too many times because he did MMA fighting, and he has brain damage, most likely, and he should not be in the Senate. He wants to fix things by going back to duels on the Senate floor. Like wrestling duels is really what he wants to do, like
He's worse
idiocracy
than Tommy
style shit.
Tuberville.
Yeah, he's worse than Tommy Tuberville, and that's hard to do. And that's
Yeah.
like reserved for Ted Cruz type people. And like,
Hmm.
but that being said, all of this being said, is this war is unconstitutional.
Hmm.
Whether it's illegal or not, it's unconstitutional. Because the Constitution was framed so that Article 1 powers were given to Congress to authorize and declare war, not Article 2 powers given to the executive branch.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
it's fucking Wednesday, and we still haven't decided that yet.
Yeah,
That's crazy to me.
and Congress is still sitting it out. Congress
Hmm.
is still sitting out because Mike Johnson does not want to come into session. So where does this come into like intelligence gathering is and like those aspects of it is, well, we can't really authorize new missions, or you shouldn't be able to because there's been no congressional approval. This
Hmm.
would be the standard procedures. No further missions would be able to conduct with unless because any other strike you have to then prove without a shadow of a doubt to Congress that it was necessary for the American people to use that our taxpayer money, our lives, because we have lost service members, our taxpayer money because we've lost what 4 F-15s, if not more, at this point.
Yeah, and
Um,
the first three were to friendly fire. That's the confirmed number I know. I didn't
yeah,
know. I didn't hear about any extras.
I've heard I've heard rumor of someone of a, but I'm not. But this is one that I will say rumor and no confirmation. Actually, I won't even say it. It's rumor enough that I won't say it until I've confirmed. But there's been at least 3 shot down on
Yeah.
friendly fire. And let's stop there for a second. So, as someone who's worked with counterintelligence professionals, someone who worked fairly closely with the counterintelligence, and had I not gotten out of the military, I probably would have reclassed and gone through the MOS training for counterintel rather than human intel.
Hmm.
One, human intel is the people
Yeah.
outside the US, just for those who don't know. And counterintel is for those who are inside the US, for counterintelligence work, for finding the bad guys, the threat within. And after the first jet got shot down, as a prior intelligence professional, but just as a rational human being, my thought would have been okay, maybe that was a mistake. The second that the second jet, when that got shot down, the whole chain of command better have been lit up going, hey, there's a possible insider threat.
Hmm.
By the time the third went down, they should have all been going, there is an insider threat until proven otherwise. Then we are grounding all flights and we're figuring out what the fuck is going on real quick. And
Hmm.
whether it's an insider threat or not, the posture itself is the important part because it
Yeah.
builds trust to the service members that we care about their fucking safety. Because
Hmm.
CI, whether people like counterintelligence or not, because they sometimes are the ones who get soldiers in trouble for doing illegal shit. And then things get referred on to the internal teams with like the MPs and
ID and everything.
yeah, the inspector generals, and that aspect of it. But they don't know, they don't care. We don't know, and we do care. Like the counterintelligence aspect is really important because you need to know if somebody is feeding from the other side, like the US, Iran got hit because Israel provided probably really good intelligence and knew
Hmm.
exactly where everything was. How come they hit a school and or we hit a school or both? Um, is that I still don't understand how they hit a school and killed 140 plus fucking girls and women. Um,
That's well, that's the thing that I wrote about, and I think it all goes to like what you said about the planes getting shot down and everything, and what the command and what leadership should recognize after the first or second of those things
mhm,
happens is I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the war or anything like that, but I looked at it from an artillery perspective of I did fire direction, and I know that there's people think that when intel finds a target and then the forward observers locate that target and then send it for it to be uh fire mission and everything for that target to be hit, they think that it just like pops up on a computer screen and then you launch the missile and everything's taken care of. But you have to process the fire mission, you have to count for meteorological data, you have to do azimuth deflections, all the math, you have to shoot the safety box and ensure that you're
mhm.
not going to shoot outside of it so that you're accounting for air for human error and everything to make sure that civilians aren't hit. But when that happens, yes, there is human error and everything. And that's probably what it was. It was a miscalculation or something, a bad target, whatever happened somewhere between the forward observers, the fire direction, and the guns. And yes, it's fucking horrible. Yes, it's tragic, all of those things. But what separates us when something like that does happen, what makes us the good guys is when that human error does happen, there's an immediate shitstorm. The whole chain of command gets notified. There's an immediate investigation. They want to know the fucking guns stop, the fire mission stops, the people show up and they get the section chief, the people who were on the gun, the people who processed the fire mission, the people who approved it. Everybody is in a shitstorm and everybody knows that that's your ass because even in a training exercise, it's known. Like you shoot outside that fucking safety box, it's your ass. Like you're going to fucking jail, whatever happens. Like this
It's
whole
where the phrase it's where the phrase "watch your lane" comes from. Like fire
exactly.
drills in either learning how to shoot your just your regular weapon, your rifle, your because the Marines say it is every Marine is a rifleman. Army
Mhm.
is you're all infantryman first,
Yep.
um, or infantry person first. Like you have to know how to shoot. You have to be qualified to know how to shoot, and you have to stay proficient at it. And part of doing that is they literally tell you while you're on the range, watch your lane, and that means
Mhm.
shoot your fire in your lane. Shoot, stay in your lane, do what you do, and do it well. And so, like, two, in this type of scenario, too, because it's air only that we know of,
Mhm.
the forward assets and things may not be there in the normal way that we would use for, say, ground operations for artillery. Um,
Mhm.
there's no cav scouts out. There might be like ops guys out there and stuff, and there might be special forces guys out there that we don't know about. There may be other assets that are being used as forward observers and things like that that are really trusted and really well vetted. Those would be types of things that Israel would have relied on for its information, is because you need to know exactly where things are, and that comes with good intelligence.
Exactly.
Like we did take out the Ayatollah of Iran, like their supreme leader. We took him out. There
Mhm.
was good intelligence there. And we also missed on intelligence. And that's the thing is missed intelligence does happen. It Human error does happen and it can be really, really unfortunate. Especially as an intelligence professional, if you are the one who put out intelligence that ends up being bad, you get blamed for it often
Hmm.
because you didn't vet it well enough. You didn't do enough to verify that it was right. And that's for a reason, is because we don't like bad intelligence. Bad intelligence leads to bad military decisions, and bad military decisions leads to service members being killed or civilians being killed or both.
Exactly.
And yes, Madam Power, you're right. AI will hit up AI data centers and things in the region. They already are.
Hmm.
Iran, as a retaliatory
I
measure,
saw they were hitting Amazon centers or something like
they've
that.
hit Amazon. Yeah, they've hit Amazon data centers in the Middle East. They're hitting strategic targets in what used to be considered safe areas of the Middle East to break the illusion of safety for those people. They are committing a region wide war so that through their proxy networks and their other systems, because they too had intelligence on us. Because if we think we're the only ones collecting intelligence, you're wrong. And intelligence goes typically two directions, but it is not a equal sharing on anybody's part. There's always a drip in that they get or that they send to other people. They don't always send their best intelligence. They don't always send all of their intelligence. Sometimes they
Mhm.
do, and sometimes they don't. Um, but yeah, Iran knows what they're doing too. They had layers of backup in place. One, their supreme leader was old, like
Yeah,
older than Donald Trump old.
I think he's like
And
83 or something like
yeah,
that.
like the man wasn't going to be around for very much longer anyway. If you didn't think they had a concrete secession plan in place, you're living under a rock. And I've got a boat to sell you in Arizona, and it's called the Ark.
They
Um,
have a whole council set up for
yeah,
this exact process with like 4 layers of backup on
they
in like
even
every.
said ahead of time, if the supreme leader dies, we will activate these networks to wage all out response because, according to the UN, they have the right to.
Mhm.
We started this. The Iran did not start this conflict. They were not actively doing anything.
And the
I mean,
thing,
we could say they actively are because they're supporting Russia and producing Shahed drones for militaries around the world, different things like that. Sure. However, they were not actively targeting US assets or the US mainland. And now, who knows? But I'm not worried about Iranian threats on US soil. I'm worried about the white ones. I'm worried about the white nationalists and the Christo fascists who are going to use this and seize upon this as an opportunity to consolidate power at home, because anybody who says they don't have a plan only thinks about Donald Trump and doesn't think below it.
yeah, exactly. And it fucking scares me about,
And we don't
I
have a
mean, all of it
counterintelligence
does.
unit anymore.
They just and the thing that's fucked up is that there's no off ramp because there's no competent leadership. There's no They hit a girls' school and there's no level of accountability. They just sweep it under the rug and keep going. And then they just do another strike just to
Hmm.
keep the whole fucking thing going. And I saw this morning that there was video of them doing carpet bombings in Tehran.
Of course. Of
And
course, there's. They don't
that's
give a shit.
fucking illegal, man. And then you hear these
The thing
reports
is,
of,
we say illegal, but who's going to enforce it? The
yeah,
US
because we don't
was the
belong to
enforcement
the.
mechanism for the UN to be, in a lot of ways. Yes, UN peacekeepers around the world, but where's the UN? UN peacekeepers, are you going to come in? Are you going to
It
try
comes
and
down to
figure out how to
Congress,
maintain
basically.
peace? Because are you going to allow the US to just become a fascist regime that bullies everybody around the world? Or are you going to protect your own interests too? because it's not just about us. It's about, this is a global thing. This is a post constitutional system that they are imposing over the current US Constitution.
Mm.
They want a post constitutional society. There were reports that came out yesterday about or even earlier about this is a this is a crusade for Jesus and to
Yeah.
usher in the Armageddon in the
And that there
Middle
were
East.
commanders like telling their troops that.
Yes, that a commander was doing that and that senior leadership is advocating for this. That's dominionism. They want this war. There's no stopping what they're doing. They're already doing it. Congress, they are imposing a post constitutional order in the United States. And they are going to use whatever levers they can to do that. And part of what they're doing that through is the use of Palantir. That's why
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Palantir,
say.
and we're going to loop this back to Palantir, because Palantir is one of the largest threats in the world to
Mm,
all of us, because they're part of the corporate fascism that Shane Urich talks about, that
yep.
the US is really good at exporting around the world, is corporate fascism and military fascism, and the use of the military to fuel corporate fascism.
And Peter
And
Thiel's close with both Israel and the
yes,
highest
and
levels of
Russia.
the United States government and Russia. Yeah.
He's close to Israel. He's close to Russia because he was brought into the Epstein network. He was
Mhm.
recruited, and my theory is he was recruited into the Epstein network because of what he offered, because of the AI surveillance capabilities and the data monitoring and aggregation and the money that he offers and the levers that and strings that he pulls, because Peter Thiel groomed JD Vance, who
And he
is
was part of
our,
the PayPal mafia with
yep,
Elon
with
Musk.
Elon Musk. Um, and Peter Thiel groomed and purchased JD Vance's political career.
Hmm.
Peter Thiel would be the shadow president, one of them, or would
If
be,
Donald Trump
if
dies.
Donald Trump dies.
Yep.
Peter Thiel would be the shadow president because he is the one who pulls the strings behind JD Vance.
Hmm.
Stephen Miller pulls the strings behind Donald Trump. And JD Miller is a Chabadist Zionist who wants to bring about Armageddon in the Middle East because it fits his narrative, so that he and the Christo-fascists in America can have dominion over what is left. That
Hmm.
they're preparing for it. That's why the commanders are talking about, or some commanders are talking about, war as a holy war. I said it yesterday, was that these are new crusaders. They have been recruiting. They don't tell us any of the recruitment numbers nowadays or where they come from, or they don't report them all the time. But I bet you most of the recruits are white and evangelical Christians. And
Hmm.
a lot of them have been for a long time, because the US uses psyops on its own people, specifically the military, through Fox Network and right wing channels that are the only channels that play on military bases.
The
And
gym, the PX, the
so
fucking
you're
chow
getting this
hall, every.
feedback loop of hate and Christian nationalism. And so a lot of them believe it now.
Hmm.
A lot of them have bought into this, and they aren't going to say no to the fact that this is an illegal war, and an unconstitutional one, because it is meant to impose a post constitutional order.
So,
Sorry to be the bad news fairy. Why would, like,
no,
I can tell you some of the good news.
but the good news, well, we had some good news last night with the midterms and everything. And I think that there's a lot of people freaking out right now. And I kind of want to calm the nerves of, I know that I've seen a lot of it on threads, especially with the midterms last night, the start of the war over the weekend. Everybody's freaking out about Trump trying to cancel the midterms and everything. But I want everybody to realize that there are mechanisms and still guardrails in place, some of which we saw last night, that worked with the courts working on voting hours and things like that. There was Ken Paxton doing bullshit and trying voter suppression methods and everything. But we are going to have midterms in November despite the war. I think that
We're
that's still going to happen. Will he fuck with those midterms? I don't know. Will there be ICE agents out at polling places? Will there be 5 hour waits? Probably. But we are going to have midterms and we're going to have the opportunity to get Democrats back in office and flip the House and Senate. Do you
yes.
think that we'll see any form of consequences? Any, not just consequences, but do you think we'll have any form of a rapid enough shift to make a change in not only the corruption that we're seeing from the executive branch, but things like getting us out of the war and slowing that down so that we can address things back at home? Do you think that us flipping Congress will make any meaningful impact?
I think us flipping Congress, it really depends on if we flip both the House and the Senate,
Hmm.
um, is the answer. If yes, if the Democrats are able to flip both, then, and in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is because the Speaker of the House does not have to be a member of Congress, they just have to be constitutionally eligible to fit the role of the president.
Hmm.
They should elect Jasmine Crockett as the new Speaker of the House, and shit will get done. Because it doesn't have to be a member of Congress.
Could you imagine how much of a fuck you that would be? Like, especially with the election and everything that they tried
Yeah.
against her in the primaries, and then to bring
Hmm.
her back is like queen shit to like enforce consequences and get
Hmm.
everything done. That's the thing that I worry about. And
I'm all for natural consequences to actions that happen.
mhm,
And a natural consequence to the Democratic Party letting James Tallarico use folks like James Carville and others who are pretty racist, in my opinion,
mhm,
and have said some pretty shitty things and pretty misogynistic things about women. And the way James Carville, has been on record speaking about Obama or
mhm.
about Jasmine Crockett too is unacceptable. And I think it went to show another example of the racism within the Democratic Party itself,
Yeah.
rearing its head saying, we white men, we can represent you. You sit down and shut up and listen to what we have to say, and you vote the way we tell you to. And I'm disappointed that she lost. I'm proud that she is a professional, and
Mhm.
I'm proud to see that she is a professional and she took the loss the way she did, and she's moving forward and she is vowing to work for the betterment of the people because she is a fighter for the people.
And
It was
I
another
think
one of
that'll
those,
only help
like,
her in the long run too.
yeah, I think she has higher aspirations. She could fit plenty of roles within a presidential administration, if not the president themselves. Um,
Mhm.
and maybe this gives a great chance to have Jasmine Crockett run for president. Like, she's not burdened by sitting in Congress now. Like,
Yeah, and
she's not burdened by other things. So
at the
she can
very
go out
least,
and be
she's a
for the
civil
people.
rights lawyer that could be a state attorney general. She could be the attorney general for the next administration. There's
I
unlimited
think
things that she
Kamala should be the next attorney general for the presidential administration if she is not the candidate. If she doesn't,
Yeah.
and this would be a popular choice thing. I'm all for elections and primaries, especially when it comes to the president.
Mhm.
Especially that, because that is the one of the only national votes we actually have. Senators are kind of national too. Like, those impact way more than the House of Representatives. Senators are pretty well national level seats,
Yeah.
whereas House is not. President is the only real national level seat by itself, and it should be treated differently. But also, like, I think primaries have to be robust, because if we're going to give one person that much power or that much responsibility, I also think that Jasmine Crockett, say she becomes Speaker of the House, and this is why I think Speaker of the House is so important, is assuming we have folks in the House of the House, and we can form a coalition even after Democratic majority. We can form a coalition with Republicans or independents who want to impeach the president. Doesn't
Like
have to be
Thomas
all
Massey.
like Thomas Massey. And
Mhm.
when those coalitions are formed, we can do a lot. Like there are things that we can do. Yes. Do I hate Thomas Massey because he voted for the SAVED Act? Yes. And we can give him shit for that while he does other things for us. Like two things can remain true. It's a political coalition of will. Like the will that we need right now is get Donald Trump the fuck out of office, get the entire administration out of office. The only way we do that is if we take back the House and Senate and we take a supermajority of plus 30 across the country and
Mhm.
then put Jasmine Crockett in as the Speaker of the House because effectively, if it is a large enough majority, effectively the next Speaker of the House will be the interim president until a new one can be put into office. And that is really important. And it also matters that not only would we have a majority in the House, we would need a majority of states as well.
Mhm.
This matters too. We would need 26 states. We would need 26 states in the House and Senate too, because each state has one vote when it comes to picking a president from a congressional level. And we need
Mhm.
to have majority there, not just in numbers, but in quantity, like state quantity and statistical quantity. And then the next step after he's out of office is they increase the size of the House. That's one vote away.
Mhm.
All that takes is passing a law that Congress made in the like 20s and 30s. So it's almost been 100 years since we've updated the size of the House of Representatives. And doing that in itself would protect democracy in a lot of ways because it would reduce the impact of gerrymandering significantly like that overnight.
Mhm.
And that would be a huge deal.
Oh my god, man, we got so much work to do, but I worry
So much
about
work to do.
I worry about
We
like, I
can
know
do it.
that
We can. And it's not that we should do it. I know we can do it, and I know we are
yeah.
gaining the political will to do it because people are listening. People listen to what we have to say. People are hearing it. People don't want this war in Iran. Going back to your original question about like the war in Iran is now that it's started, we are all of us here, Evan and I, we are here to win the hearts and minds of Americans to force the issue whether they want to or not.
Mhm.
Because we can, in a few short months, push a bunch of people out of office.
Yeah.
And now is the chance to just go out and start pressuring the shit out of your Republican representatives or your Republican senators, especially those who are in weak districts, to say, hey, you better vote for the War Powers Resolution. You better vote for this. You better vote for that. Or you may as well just retire because you're going to lose your race anyway. So you may as well get out now. And we have the political capital and will to do that. And part of that also means going and saying, do not fund this war. War powers resolution. Do not allow a single dollar of our taxpayer dollars, which means the boats need to go away and no more missions need to be done because we can't be defending the boats if we're not allowing our money to be used, which means the boats have to return a bit until they're authorized to be there.
Mhm.
Like we can't be using the military assets until Congress has authorized them. And now that primary season is full swing, now is the time to tell Congress how you really feel about the job that they're doing.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say is that make sure that you're participating in the primaries and make sure that you are electing and putting forth the candidates that you want because leadership and the people that make up Congress, especially on the Democratic side, are going to be so important because we see the frustrations that we have with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and other high profile members who have ties to APAC and organizations like that who are still keeping us in this shit through whether it's a controlled opposition or not, it's still something that we're going to have to deal with. And I don't want to get to the point where we're having to protest our own party like we were the Republicans just in order to get us out of this shit.
We're going to
And
have to protest our own party at some point soon.
yeah,
Um, and I'm already preparing for those steps, protesting our own party. And now that we're into primaries, and once your primary is over, it's not vote blue no matter who. It's vote blue so that we can fucking continue to vote.
yeah,
And I'm lucky to be in a state that our primary is now over, and my candidate of choice did win um, her primary.
that's always good news.
Hallie Schaffner is going to be the candidate against Tom Cotton in Arkansas. And
Hmm.
I think that's awesome. I think she can do a great job. And I'm going to be reaching out to her to try and get her on for for an interview. I know Fred Wellman won
Hmm.
in Missouri and is going to be running against Ann Wagner um,
And
in
Fred's
that
going to be a
congressional
great
district.
candidate too.
And Fred's a a candidate. And knowing these, and one, I've met Fred a couple times.
Hmm.
I've talked to Fred a couple times. I've gotten to interact with Fred. He's come on some of my shows. Like having those connections with people is a good thing
Hmm.
because he can call me, which he has before. He could to just say hi, but he could call me if he wanted to, or we could call him, or I could call him and be like, "Hey, Fred, so many people are telling me this is a problem. We need
Hmm.
your support. How do you
Yeah,
get this done? How do we get this done? How do we, the people, get this done? Like, how do I help in your region? Because guess what? Fred and I are regional neighbors. I can go
hmm,
support Fred. I can support Hallie. Like, if you have candidates in your area too, now that if your primaries are over, or if your primaries aren't and you're still in primary season, have them reach out to me. Have them reach out to me, and then I will get them, try and get them scheduled for interviews because we need to interview folks. We need to get our voices out there, progressive voices out there that are either still up in the primaries or have won in their primaries because progressive candidates are doing pretty well.
yeah, definitely. Well, we got a
That's
lot
what
of
gives
work
me
to do.
hope too, is
Yeah.
progressive candidates thus far in all of the special elections, all like in many of
Hmm.
the other elections, are doing really well. That gives me a lot of hope because the only way we go forward is by forward thinking people. And progressives, by nature, by definition, want progress,
Yep.
which means going forward. Whereas the Republicans are regressive by nature and, um,
They just want to destroy
yeah,
shit,
and they want to go
pull things
regressive.
away.
Um, and there was a comment in the chat around having the flag upside down. I that is a very individual question for every veteran, especially the who have served, on whether you want to, will, or have put your flag upside down. Mine will not be going upside down, at least not yet, because an upside down flag, as I was trained, means you are actively in distress. You, your house, your castle, your place of safety is actively in distress, not the nation. But a flag upside down, specifically a US flag, means a base is in distress, but your castle is in distress. Yeah, the nation's in distress. We know that. I don't need my flag, but if you see my flag upside down, someone call the cops. Like if you see my flag upside down, like if I start a show and a flag falls down, or if you see my flag go like is upside down for some reason, you may want to like ask if I'm okay because I won't. No, great question. Great question. I appreciate other veterans who do it. Veterans, you're fine. Do whatever you all want. I'm for free speech as long as it's not hurting anybody. And flipping your flag upside down doesn't hurt people. But for me,
No.
it's a sign of it's an actual sign of distress under the U.S. flag code that putting the U.S. flag upside down means that you are actively in distress and that you need assistance on a military level or like a intervention level and you need help. And
Well, I hope you
so
would
I'm not
reach out
quite there.
before I would hope you would reach out before we reach the point of, like, the flag going upside down and sending coded messages through live streams and everything.
Yeah, like
But
people will get I'll be like people will get phone calls if I'm actually in distress. Like I will make sure that goes out like real quick. Um, but yeah, the to me flag like wearing the flag, using the flag, and how it's represented are fairly important because flag code was drilled into me.
yeah,
Um, my dad was in the army. My dad was an officer in the army. My dad is a U.S. historian focused on revolutionary history. Like he knows US history and
he
World War
knows the
II.
flag.
He knows the flag, he knows the code, he knows the meaning. And he taught us, pardon the dog bells
The
as they go on.
dogs.
Um, he taught us, he taught us the history and the meanings of doing specific acts. And so I'm very careful about the flag. Hey, shush, man. No, if you're
He
gonna
just wants
bark,
to come say
least
what's
you
up,
can
that's
do
all.
is turn around and bark at the door and not at me.
So, "Come on,
I'm
Daddy."
just
He had to
yeah,
get
old
one
man.
more in.
Woof. Woof. Yeah, screw you, Dad. Um, but like I I like this is one of the few shirts that I have that has the impression of a flag on it. And this doesn't violate flag code because it is not flag shaped. It is also very limited in scope of what it is. Whereas like I don't wear flag underwear and shit like that because that's a desecration of the flag.
Yeah,
Or wearing flag flip-flops or things like that. Those are desecrations of the flag
the
because
full 4th of July uniforms.
yeah, like
Yeah.
things like that. Hey, hey, I know what it is. My pest control guy just got here,
Oh,
so it's gonna
no,
be
that's a
loud for a couple
stranger.
minutes.
No, you're good, man. I was gonna wrap this up anyway, so sell everybody all your stuff. Oh, no.
I
Let
closed the
every
door so it's a little quieter.
Alright. I was gonna wrap up at the 45-minute mark
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
so let everybody know where to find you, how to subscribe. I appreciate you doing this, man. You're the
Yeah,
best,
man.
and let everybody know how to subscribe. I know we've got a large mix of audience, but just in case they
Yeah,
need to find
absolutely.
you, tell them where.
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me on. I always love coming on and hanging
Always.
out with you, dude. Um, you can find me on sickofthis.substack.com, which is Sick of This Shit Publications. That's my primary home. I also have a secondary home called bannerandbackbone.com, which is my based platform. You can also find me working at Centered America and working with Centered America and doing getting articles posted on there, and I'm going to be working closely with them as we go forward. You'll also see Evan and I, assuming I'm off the plane and in a stable spot, hopefully in the hotel. You'll see Evan on with me tomorrow for our normal now weekly show, the Diogenes Club.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
but where you can find me if you're in Minneapolis, Minnesota on Friday is at the Dropkick Murphy concert,
Yes.
um, where
So
I'll be
excited
hanging
for
out
you.
with Chris Goldsmith, and I'll be representing and sponsored by Veterans Fighting Fascism to be there. So I'm going to be repping Veterans Fighting Fascism. They help us do the book club. Like that's the model we built off. So I get to meet Chris Goldsmith and Ken Harbaugh and some of the other folks who are there with Valor Media Network and the Save America movement. Um, so if you're in Minneapolis on Friday, come catch me at the Dropkick Murphy concert. I'll be there.
I love it, man. Well, I appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing about how the concert went and everything, and I will see you tomorrow. Sound good?
Sounds good, brother. Thanks,
All
man.
right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. We'll see you soon.